Today we are hauling a boat out of the water so we can do an easy bottom job. Be sure to stay tuned because near the end of the video, after we put them back in the water, they called in a panic with a 911. So we had to have them pull into a different marina to assess their situation. Matt will tell you more about that at the end. They always look much bigger once they're out of the water. But this is the boat that we're hauling today. Okay, so I wanted to show you, we're checking out this bottom on this boat that just got hauled out today. And I wanted to show you that it looks like the boat doesn't have primer. You can see where it's worn away all of the bottom paint. We're not going to address it this time. In order to address it, the best thing to do would be to strip it all down, which, we're not going to do. We're just going to do a quick sand and put on new bottom paint and make it look like it's brand new, and then it will last them many years. They haven't been out of the water probably in about 5 years. This is just to give you an idea of what it looks like before we start doing any work to it. But we will be sanding this whole bottom to be able to put on new bottom paint. Might get a little loud here because the air compressor is going. But you can see some of the boat needs some primer. It looks like it's worn down. So we're just going to do a real nice scuff on this. We're using 60 grit. It's a quick sand, and once we're done, then we'll wash the boat so that the paint doesn't stay on, and we have a Dutch deputy that collects the paint for us. It's all air sanding that he's doing. We have another one of our guys right there getting off the back of that boat. He's over here checking out the bonding system on this boat. It must have some electrolysis issue, so we're going to be addressing that for these owners. So I laid awake last night wondering how I was going to begin to share with you who I am today. First, I want to start by sharing with you how blessed I truly am. I'm a very lucky lady, married to Matt for nearly 30 years. We only dated about 6 months at the young age of 19 and 22, which, if you think about it, is incredible. I was determined to beat all the odds that were stacked against me when I was growing up. I was going to make my own path and be different than the rest of my family. You'll learn more about that journey in the future. About 100 degrees today out, so you definitely want to have a fan on you blowing while you're working and sanding because it's extremely hot. Only feels like 100 and something these days in South Florida. So we've got this one side all sanded. You can tell because the paint is now like a reddish color instead of black along the whole thing. That's what we want. I'm just in time for a cleaning, huh? I was over here taking a look at how our bottom job was coming along, and Tom is washing because he is done sanding. Day 2 of sanding is complete, so we will move on to putting on 2 coats of bottom paint tomorrow.
Check the running gear real quick. Prop looks good. Not seeing anything that looks bad on there. Rudder's got a little bit of burn on it from electrolysis, so we'll check the bonding system on this to make sure it's good. We'll replace that while it's out. We'll see if my buddy John has the zincs for this. And we will, hang on a second, Tom, I'll be with you. Yeah, go ahead and sand that rudder off. All right, please. And we'll get these replaced on this mount thruster also. That zinc is pretty deteriorated.
Okay, it's that time for that first coat of fresh paint. Applying our second coat of paint this morning. The boat's getting ready to splash tomorrow. We had the stands moved so you can see the different colored spots on the bottom that we need to sand still and then apply their first coat of paint.
Here we go. Another bottom job done. Some other electrical work. Dropping the boat down in the water. That's Antonio. He's got a remote control for this big device. It's called the travel lift. Anyways, we got the boat back in the water. They got up the channel a ways and the engine started overheating. So I had them come up, hopped off here on the dock and went down below, and looks like the through hull was full of oyster shells and stuff, so I managed to put a piece of wire down there and broke some stuff up on the strainer and got it cleaned out. Got some better flow. It was a struggle though, because the strainer, I couldn't get into the strainer because it's all corroded shut, and the strainer bowl on the engine is cracked, so that's leaking, so we got to replace all that. Anyways, of course, while I'm doing this, I'm in a hot engine room. 200 degrees, and as you can see, our weather, it started raining, so now I'm hot, sweaty, and soaking wet. So I thought I'd tell you guys a quick little story. Just happened to me on another boat we were working on. I'm currently heading over to another boat to look at a job. The boat we did a bottom job on and a couple of other little things while it was out of the water, and we put the boat back in the water and they took off, and they immediately got going, got out in the main channel. They're out in the shipping channel, and they called me and said they had an overheat alarm. And, they were like, what can we do? And I'm like, well, you got to get back to a dock. And that was, they're not familiar with the area, so trying to get them back to the dock was a challenge. I managed to do that and got on board and fixed their 911. Ended up just being a flow problem. They don't use the boat, but rarely, maybe once or twice a year, if that. And what it ended up being was the through hull for the engine had oyster shells growing in it, and some of them had, I guess when we hauled it out, they dried up and they broke free, and they were blocking part of the through hull. so the water flow to the engine wasn't enough. And but we cleaned that all out and sent them on their way, and it worked perfect. So sometimes after you fix a boat for one thing, and you get a call, and then you gotta fix it for something else. Anyways, we saved them. They're good. Talk to you guys later.